Hello and welcome back to Opulence with Gia podcast and YouTube video. I am so excited today. I'm going to just skip all the formalities and just introduce my guest, who is Vincent. He is a intuitive channel that speaks to your spine and downloads symbols to help you figure out what you can't figure out and solve the puzzles that are constantly relooping within you, causing the blocks. So welcome on the show today, Vincent. I'm very excited to talk about more on how you work with the body and how you help with your intuitive art and your coaching and how you bring people back.
Mhm. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So me and Vincent, before we started this podcast, I always say a quick grounding prayer for both of us. And you said your spine immediately started to heat
Got,
up.
it
And
got really hot. Yeah.
yeah, I'm starting to feel really hot too. So that's usually waves of activation
Mhm.
coming through. So this is going to be, I can already tell, a very woo-woo, but yet very practical conversation.
For sure.
So I had Vincent actually work on me about a week ago on my body, and it was amazing because before we even did the distant session with you, you channeled symbols with my name and so forth. And then you told me to look at them and trace them and then slowly start moving my body like those symbols. How do you get to the symbols?
Do you want to hear the story, or do you want to hear like how I access them, or like what?
Honestly, however you want. Like, what do you feel?
Oh, it's hilarious because like I don't there was literally a day where it started, and it was my dad's birthday. My dad had passed away for 3 years at that point, and it was his birthday. And I started to hear voices in my head. And I was like, what is this? Like, and I was trying to understand and decipher what was happening, but I couldn't understand. And so I put my pen on the paper, and all of a sudden these like what what it felt like were just waves were coming through, like just kind of these like frequencies, right? It just felt like frequencies, like different tones. And when you tune into an energy, it's represented visually, like to you. Like you can go, oh, what would that look like? What does that feel like? What is that frequency? What does it sound like? Like they all have a representation. And it was taking me to basically like show me the tone of the frequency coming through these symbols. I had no idea what they were. So about fast forward about 3 years later, I was channeling every day. They would just come through, but it wasn't like I would sit there and go, okay, thank you for sending me the symbols. But like my body would just naturally do this thing. And every time I would paint, every time I would create, these symbols would just somehow appear on the canvas. And if I just let go, like these symbols would come through. And one day I posted one of them online, and someone reached out and they go, oh, that's biogeometry. And I was like, oh, like I don't even know what that is. So I look it up, and there's this guy, Dr. Ibrahim Karim, and he founded this ancient Egyptian practice of biogeometry, which are basically it's the energetic signatures of the earth and humans together. It's all the same thing. But every part of us has this harmonic balance, like a divine signature. And so what I learned is like our bodies are meant to move in these waves and these frequencies, but specific like if we're in pain and there's tension, there's specific symbols to pull us back to the divinity within that feeling and the peace within that feeling. And so the way my guidance works is like I don't read books. I don't like search it up on Google. I just like saw this thing, and then I was like, and then everything in my body was like, no, just keep going. Because I've learned like I have to learn in the body. I have to. Because the more I acquire here, then it almost disconnects my own personal path of experience with these gifts. And so I just kept going, and then all of a sudden I started to learn that, like, because I just did it for myself. Like I was just like, oh yeah, cool, I'll do these little symbols. And then what started to happen was all these symbols turn into creatures and beings if you start putting eyes in all the loops. And
Mm.
it shows this animated, it's actually hilarious. It shows like animated energies and emotions based on the symbols. So you know how our mind goes, what does this mean? Like, what does this symbol mean? But if the child in us wants to like play with it and add eyes and like little faces, the energy shows itself. So to me, that has been the most beautiful confirmation of what the symbols are, because if you just keep playing with them, you start to remember. And that's the best part, is like I've done it with kids, and kids are like, oh, this looks like this, and this feels like this, and ooh, this feels like this in my shoulder when I look at this one. And like they're so connected to it. Um, and so now if someone sets an intention, I tune into that frequency, and you're not even intentionally. I just know like they're there, they've set that, and then my hand just starts going, their name's on the page. And it's funny because even the way my guidance is even the way your name is like spelled on the page tells a story. So sometimes like it's like small letters moving to big letters, or it's like big letters moving to small letters, and even that tells a little story. But there's something about visual representation of energy, but frequencies embedded in these symbols. And it's just been a beautiful gift. And um yeah, every time I try to explain it, you obviously explain it differently to different people,
Yep.
but I love that you're like, I know we can have this chat, but yeah, it's been funny. It's either kids or people who are like tuned in, the people in between are like, symbols, like where are you getting these, what book did you get these from? I'm like,
Yeah.
they don't come from a book, yeah.
Yeah, I get the same thing when I say I'm a channel, and they're like, "What radio do you work at?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, you actually can't physically tune into me like that." But yeah, but I loved how you explained it though, because to your point, we're not consciously aware of every energy that's coming in every second, because that's what energy is doing,
Mhm.
right? We're constantly in an energetic container, energetic shift. We are doing everything out of energy. And sometimes the human mind has its limitations. And I say that with lots of love,
First.
because the human brain is there to help us function, right? To able to pick up the cup, to speak, and to just process things and drive and all of that. It's not meant to be lived from. We're
Mhm.
meant to be lived from our heart, and our heart resides in the body, it resides in our temple. So, of course, we're not really aware of what energy we are carrying around in the body, because consciously we have perceptions built that, oh, I have a headache. Oh, I had a long day at work today. I'll take an Advil.
Mhm.
Oh, my back's been hurting. I have bad posture. I'll just go see an osteopath. Our brain has these limitations and labels and meanings associated to certain, I don't want to use the word problems or issues, because we're not broken. We literally just need extra support to moving out interference energies that are not ours.
For
And
sure.
sometimes the mind can't always comprehend that, but the body is the highest source of intelligence.
Mm.
It can comprehend that, and it will scream it out to you like, help me out. This is
Mm.
not ours. Like, we got to flush this out. This is not ours. And I have to bring up my session with you too, even though I wasn't physically present with you in the same room, it was done over a phone call. Immediately, the first thing you said to me is, your spine is curved in a way like it's trying to move forward, and you're like resisting it. And I was like, oh my God, that's a story of my life.
Mhm.
I've always resisted big moves mentally, right? Because mentally you want to be prepared.
Of
Mentally
course.
you have to have a certain amount of money. You got to do this and got to do that. But the body just knows what it knows. And if you can lean into the body with that surrender of like, okay, I know this knowing, there's no way I can fail. Because if your body is taking you somewhere,
Mhm.
you're meant to be there, and all the resources will be provided for.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I loved how that came of my session. Of course, mine was super emotional because I had been carrying on so much lineage stuff and parental stuff in the body
Mhm.
that had been there. And of course, the major transition I'm making in my life as well. But I think my biggest takeaway from our session was the fact that you create a really safe space, first of all, for me to be in, for me to be seen, and to be able to release ample amounts of emotion, which honestly does not always happen.
Mhm.
right? We go to psychics, we go to healers, and we are not always provided a space where we can be vulnerable in. So
True.
that already is very highly speaking. And of course, your intuitive abilities, right? To able to see the body that way. And I remember you actually connected my womb to my heart center and to my mind. And
Mhm.
I mean, I channel an ascended master, Mother Agua. And for me, I was like, oh, wait, I've never thought about doing that. I
Mhm.
know there's activity in my womb. I can see waves. I can see the ocean in my womb. I know it's a creation. I know so much about it. I work with my womb, but I've never thought about connecting my womb's golden threads and knowledge
Mhm.
to my heart center and up like my brain and channel.
Mhm.
I've never thought about doing that. So I think that's the best part about working with the body because it's so giving. And then our brain always wants to add the limitation like, no, 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 like the heart and womb are separate.
Mhm. Totally.
They can't connect, but they do, right? They always do. So I love that part too. And also the symbols, right? The symbols too. There are, I mean, I feel like where I'm doing a disservice by calling them symbol. And
Mhm.
even when it comes to sacred geometry or biogeometry or whatever, I feel like no, they don't fit in those categories.
I agree. Yeah.
They don't. They are activations. That's what they are. They are frequency tuned in activations for each particular body. And when I looked at those symbols, those activations that you sent me, I could feel one in one organ, the other in another organ. It's almost like they represent your original organ imprintings.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they do? Okay. I didn't know that. I just kind of thought, oh, I can feel this in
Yeah.
my liver. I can feel this in my heart. Like, okay,
Yeah.
very cool to know. So they're actually activations. And I
Mhm.
can't wait to see your art being blown up on like public buildings because I can only imagine people that are just going to be very nonchalant, being human, walking by, the subway, catch
Mhm.
TTC or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, like going, oh, what? I can feel that in my heart now. Like, getting the full blown activation from it
Mhm.
because that is what I almost want to call it light language.
Mhm.
It's like a light language between the consciousness of the body and the organs and everything interconnected with it in the ethers.
Mhm. I agree. Absolutely agree. Thank you for saying all that. And I'm honored that you felt safe enough to share all of your emotions and energies with me in that session. And yeah, it's like yeah, I get it. It's a beautiful gift to share that space because like I said, I got just as much out of it as you did. Like it's a beautiful reciprocal exchange. And I agree with the symbols. It's like I remember, I don't know if you remember, there was a time with like where NFTs were big, like digital art online. And so I just got into that space to just learn about it. And the common feedback I got from people who like aren't like in the energy space or whatever, like when I look at your art, it makes me feel uneasy, but then super calm. But it was so cool because I was like, wow, like thank you. Because that's like if I think of what light is, like light language to me is the language of truth, which is the language of the body.
Hmm.
Light to me isn't like always being kind, always being light is truth. Like what is the truest expression of you, which is your light. This is just what I believe. And in our bodies, my left shoulder has a divine imprint, how it's supposed to be, what the truth of it is, right? And what happens is when we activate that imprint, all the shit that's covering it starts to come to the surface. And so that to me is the activation that you're expressing because that's what happens to me. Before I feel really good, I feel fucking terrible. And there was a picture, my friend who I'm staying with right now makes fun of me all the time because she'll come in and like I'm just always doing like spine work and like work on my fascia or whatever. But the other day we were at the beach. It was actually the day before your session. Remember I sent you yeah. So I'm sitting on a log and what I've learned about the spine is before we expand, we must contract. So we can't just expand and keep expanding. Like the spine, the way the spine speaks is it goes, okay, you want to go higher? I'm going to take you lower first so we can lean into this. So my spine literally on the beach, like curled over. And she's like, are you okay? Like people are going to think I'm hurting you, you know? But that's the language of the spine. Like I'm taking you to the truest place in your body, not like, okay, you want to go higher and higher and you want to feel better and better. Okay, I'm going to take you there. No, that's not how nature works.
Mm,
Nature is like, okay, let's go through the cycle and then we'll come out on the other end. And so that's the beautiful thing I've learned about these symbols is it takes you to what you need, not what you want. Like you hear in a lot of healings and with a lot of medicine, but it's funny because it deters a lot of people. Like I've had some people who are like, I felt too emotional when I was doing it, so I couldn't do it. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like there's no, it literally is a mirror. Like it literally is a mirror. And it's funny because when I'm painting, I always see people post about like, when you're painting, you're supposed to have so much fun and enjoy whatever. You should see how miserable I am when I'm painting because I'm in the energy that I'm moving.
uh,
So it's like I'm painting my mirror, and until I see it in its divinity, that's when I can release all the shit that I was carrying. But it's funny because I literally, like, if somebody were to take a picture of me painting, I have like it's like I'm like trying to figure out the answer, and I'm like, it probably looks like I'm miserable, but that's the practice of it, right? I'm in that energy so that my body can understand it, understand where it lives in my body, understand where it lives in my mind and where it connects. And then once I see, oh, underneath that is this, then it starts to break open. And the thing I've learned about the spine specifically is they're permanent adjustments. Like when you really listen to the body, I don't go back to old energies. And I'm not saying I'm like perfected anything or whatever, but it's that channel is now open.
right.
So it's much more clear now when that energy comes through that I'm like, oh no, I can move that through my body with my own practice and come back to how I'm meant to feel. And what I mean by permanent is like I have adjusted things out of my body that have been in my body for 30 plus years and they're gone, like they're gone. And this is like physical tension. And how I even got to this, I think it's important to mention how I even got to this place, but I had the world's largest splenic cyst in my body. So it was like a child and it was 25 by 18 centimeters and it had 4 pounds of fluid in it and they had to drain it. And then for 10 days, I had the drain in my body. And then they surgically removed it. And then it was the night before my surgery where I had a dream where all my guides were around a fire and they're like, your journey begins now. And I was like, at that time, I'm like, okay, cool, journey, like awesome. And not realizing what it meant. Um, but it was the first time in my life, like I usually lessons like that kind of derail me and I'll go in a different direction out here. Like instead of this job, I'll take this job. Instead of this partner, I'm going to go and be by myself or whatever. This was like shut down everything and go into your body.
Mm,
And so it was a completely different experience. And I think it's just important to note because it's like, this isn't just like, oh, cool. And like working with this is like, no, this is coming back to how we are meant to be operating as human beings. And going back to what you were saying about interference, a lot of us, including myself, we're so caught up in how everyone else is feeling that we think that's we subconsciously think that's the norm, that our body follows suit. So we're like, why does my heart feel so heavy today? Or like, why are my shoulders feel so heavy? And like, but I think that the practice is knowing that these things exist in our body. Like at the end of the day, coming back after a date, coming back after hanging out with a friend and just going, ooh, before I went, I felt like this, and after I felt like this. Okay, what did I talk about that brought in this energy? What did they talk about that brought in this energy? Because it's so real. And it's not, and I'm not saying this for people to overthink it and go like, being in a situation with someone and going, oh, they're talking about this, and now because of this. No, just be and breathe. But there is something to be said of energy being welcomed into a space.
mhm.
And whether it's a one-on-one space like this, or like you go to a big event, or you're just out on the street, there's something to be said about that. But the most important thing is to understand the language of your own body. It's
Yes.
not like, it's not even like, how am I going to teach this? No, just learn your own body and everything else will take care of itself.
100%. And that's something that, just referring back to what you said earlier, about the spine, like it wants to first lower down and then boom, like spark back up. And nature does the same thing. It has a cycle. I always say this, it does not matter how ascended you are, who you're channeling, what you're doing. We're all in the human experience and you can't skip the experience.
Correct.
You just cannot skip it. I try my best not to feel hurt. I do. I'm like, I'm not gonna cry. There's no need. I know what
Mhm.
I'm doing because in my highest knowing, I always know. But the experience is still unfolding, and my body does that. It wants to curl up in bed with a
Mhm.
blanket, and it wants to, just not move, go what we call it freeze response
Mhm.
sometimes as well, right? We'll do those things but again, like to your point, it's a cycle. And then I break out of it and I'm like, oh yeah, I always knew this. I don't know why I was so scared to jump in.
Mhm.
But the experience must be felt. The experience, you must give permission to yourself and to the experience consciousness because the experience also has a consciousness and you can
Yes.
probably talk to it as well like when is the deadline of this, how is this going to unfold, how can I support this experience, how can I accelerate it if you don't like it too much, right? Those are all conversations you can have with the body's consciousness and with the experience consciousness, right, to kind of excel your stuff forward and of course to attain your original mind and the original knowledge that's coming through with it.
Mhm.
But what I find more and more interesting about the body is, and especially talking about collective energies and interference energies constantly coming in, and talking about consent as well. Like you said, what did I say or what was said to me that sparked or triggered this in my body?
Mhm.
I think it's so important if you are trying to leap, it's so important. And I don't say this with judgment. It's so important to not co-validate anyone that is basically trying to bring in a frequency that you are no longer fucking with.
Mhm.
So if that's lack, if they're talking about lack, if they're miserable at their job and they're constantly bitching about it, if they're showing, signs of low self-esteem, if they are shit talking, let's just say all the men on the planet, all men cheat and, relationships are garbage, blah, blah, blah. And we as friends want to comfort our friend, we will go, oh, yeah, I understand. It's okay. Maybe we don't want to do that because we are co-validating and giving consent, which causes a leak, an energetic leak, a spark to come back, which can also trigger things in the body,
Mhm.
right? Because if we look at our ancestral and lineage ways, unfortunately, many of them lived in scarcity, right? Because of the planet's conditions, and especially me being a woman, I can only imagine how silent the women were in my lineage,
Mhm.
right? All of that, but it can be really triggering to that. So you also want to be mindful. Yes, there are frequencies that are constantly being pushed on us by the not so nice people, I'm going to call them.
Mhm.
They are coming through our screens or coming through the 5G towers. Oh my goodness, did you see that celebrity that's bringing out tinfoil hats?
Oh, I actually did see that. Yeah,
I couldn't stop laughing.
I know. It's kind of funny.
Because no, as a kid, I would take foil paper and I'd make tinfoil hats and I'd wear them around. I would get in so much trouble. But anyway,
It's so good.
I think I knew what I was doing, but
Yeah.
like all those interference frequencies are being pushed out, like confusion, fear, distortion, separation, all of that, yes. And we don't need to consent for that, right? That's also a choice. But in conversation with our loved ones, with our friends, we co-validate a lot in the
Mhm.
name of comfort.
I agree.
Oh, let me just comfort you. Let me just comfort you. It's okay. It's okay. No, we are trying to leap.
Mhm.
We are not trying to stay there. So we are not going to co-validate because to your point, when you use your voice to consent, to be like, yes, I agree, or whatever, the body will follow you, right? It will be like, okay, it's a command. It will take your command, literally. It will listen to you. Like, okay, yes, we understand lack. We understand how hard it is to be in a relationship. So what do you think is going to happen now when you decide to do those leaps? You're going to start to resist and move back. And you're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm doing so much work. I'm doing all the energetics. I'm doing the journaling. I'm doing the meditation. Nothing's working for me. Well, you may want to check what you have consented to and co-validated with.
For sure.
Yeah.
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 It's so real. Like and it's so subtle. Like one thing I've learned is if someone or if talk about someone who's not in the conversation, there's a door that opens up and it's like a thread now comes into the conversation, and the undertone of that, the frequency of that person in the intention that we're speaking about them with comes through. And so that's been interesting for me because there was a moment this week where I realized I'm much more sensitive in my body than I thought I was, because someone was talking about someone, and then as soon as they started talking about this person, my body just got this like, whoa, like this is. And what I've learned is it's possible for us to alchemize it, to move it through, whatever. But I realized I'm like, I don't want to. Like I don't want to. Like
Energy. Yeah.
and just in that moment, like it doesn't mean that I like don't want to help people. I don't like, it's just like, no, I'd rather have a full conversation, not talking about other people, not, like I'd rather just be here. But it's so real and it's so subtle. And I think of, if someone is completely disconnected from their bodies, think of what their body is carrying as a what's the word? I don't even know what the word is. I'm trying to think of, but all the conversations that they're having with people, like you said, co-validating, like, oh no, you're so right, et cetera, et cetera. Their body is matching everything that's coming in, and their mind is convincing them that that's how to be like kind. But really what you're saying to the body is like, no, like, I, I don't care about you. I just care about the validation of other people. And it's so real. Like, it's like, this isn't even, to me, this isn't even woo woo. This is just real. Like the body carries that energy, like you don't even have to like pray. Like it's just knowing. It's like, oh shit, when I talked to so and so, I felt this, and it's so subtle. That's the thing about the body, is it's so subtle. It's not always going to be like, hi, Vince. Like my heart's not gonna be like, hi, Vince. All of a sudden now you're talking about this person, and this is gonna, it's making me feel like that. It doesn't work like that. It's such a subtle tone. It's a tone shift, and all the more reason to go back into the body and connect to our I don't want to say our purest frequency. It's difficult to get to, but um how we feel at ease in our bodies. Because the more we come home to that home, I'll call it the home frequency, right? How we feel on our own, clear space, after you smudge, after you meditate, whatever it is, like knowing that feeling in your body. Now, when you step out, as soon as someone says something and your body may shift or jolt to it, you can start to navigate that. And the interesting part about that is there's two parts to that. It's not just like, oh, they brought up this, that's bad, I'm good. It's like it could mirror something in you that could help you on your healing journey. But it's different for everyone. So I can't say like every time that happens, do this.
Yeah.
It's one of those unique experiences, and I think that's the beauty of engaging with the body, is you'll know when it's time to go, I'm meant to hear this, I'm meant to feel this right now. This is a mirror. I mean, everything is a mirror, but you know what I'm saying? And that's the interesting part. But that experience is unique to everybody. And I find that the fun part, because we all have our own unique language to our body, but we meet there. Like we meet in our connection to our bodies. Because when you spend time with someone who's connected to their body, and you are as well, it's a very, very, very different experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got one human honoring their body, another human honoring their body, and you coexist in this beautiful space together. And there's something so beautiful about that. And there's less thought and there's more feeling. And with more feeling, you're more present. And I know, even me just saying this, it's like I'm analyzing something that is not meant to be analyzed, but it's like I've experienced it. I've been with someone who's constantly in their mind, and I'm sitting there feeling everything that they're thinking, And then I've been with the people who are so at ease in their body, right? And it's a completely different experience. Doesn't mean that one person is better than the other. It doesn't, it's just if I choose in my life, which I have my choice, who I want to spend that time with, it's the people who are connected to their bodies because I feel more at ease.
100%. I could
Yeah,
have not said that any better. I don't know why I'm losing my voice.
it's okay.
Yeah, but I feel like again, it's literally because the activations
Yeah.
happening in the voice. Because I've been voicing a lot for my South Asian sisters. So I feel like it's all of that, but okay, it seems like it's back now. Thank you. Yeah, like to your point, the experience is different. And again, like going back to that part you said in the beginning about literally like gossip, like you may not be gossiping, but whatever and whoever you're talking about in a conversation, again, we're always in an energetic container.
Mm,
So whatever and whoever we bring in, we are bringing in that consciousness and that energy,
mhm,
right? Um, so whenever there is gossip around me, I kid you not, I see it all the time. Everyone's body literally starts to dehydrate.
mhm,
It's like you start leaking water. You feel tired, fatigued, brain fog, thirsty, you may get more hungry. You
mhm.
start to get those signs after you gossip or you talk about something that was not so friendly or you mention.
Wait, wait, pause. I love this so much because what I just saw is the word gossip is space sip,
Mm.
like sip water, whatever. That's how I see the word, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just sorry, I
Yeah,
had to
well,
use
that's
that
so
for you.
cool. I love it. I love it. But literally, we are all water beings. So when we are literally matching frequencies through the body experience, we become one song through our harmonics, even though our harmonics are different. I literally will not drink water at a social event where there is gossip. I just will not because you've literally killed the consciousness.
Mhm,
So now, me being in the awareness of Mother Agua, I'm able to purify that water, hold that frequency up, and literally bring it back. But I literally, my brain physically starts to shut down when I'm introduced gossip. I literally have to be like, I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
mhm,
And I've said that to some people, and they're like, what do you mean? You were there. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm so
mhm,
sorry. I have to leave. I can't be here. Like it literally is a physical response for me. Like because I start to deplete. And that is a no for me. Like right now, too, I am week second on an alkaline diet because I need to uptake my water level so much in order to channel the ocean.
mhm,
So I literally, it's non-negotiable for me to be depleted or dehydrated. I simply will not accept that. And conversations can do that to you. Stress can do that to you. It can deeply dehydrate you, push out all the light out of your orbs, which is your cells, and leave you depleted completely. So I understand when you said that, like you just immediately were like, oh no, I don't like this vibe. It's
mhm,
because your body was probably starting to deplete its
mhm,
auric field in all ethers and the actual physical being itself. And it's really interesting too, because when I now look at any kind of people have low iron, low vitamin D, they're low in magnesium or whatever. I'm just like, where are you, who and where are you giving your energy to?
mhm,
There is no reason for us to have any kind of depletion on any mineral or supplement because literally we can walk bare feet onto Mother Earth, connect our right foot and ankle. There's actually a point there underneath the ankle that you can press, put
mhm,
it down on Mother Earth, and ask her to literally feed you all the supplements and minerals that you require for nourishment.
mhm.
And it's a real thing. I know it sounds crazy, but
No,
I do it daily. I do it daily. And
crazier things have happened. Yeah.
yeah, literally. And I can see it's like a golden stream coming up the ankle and going into the body
Mhm,
and covering up the entire auric field to say. But we should never be depleted. And yes, there is food, there's the air, there's the environment, all that stuff matters. Yes, it does. But you should never go low.
yeah.
You should never actually be low ever. So I'm always like, especially with magnesium, when people are like, oh, my joints are not feeling well, my muscles are not feeling well. I genuinely feel like magnesium deficiency has a lot to do with childhood trauma
Mm.
because it's deep nourishment basically locked into your fascia, your muscles, and your skeleton, and your development part. So that's actually new information that just came through. So I feel like magnesium depletion is a part of that, but there's no reason for us to be depleted because we're constantly surrounded by resources
Mhm.
to basically replenish ourselves
Right.
constantly, infinitely.
Yeah, I believe it.
I know you do, Insane.
It's like I've had too many like crazy experiences to not believe that. Like I think of like if a tree is connected to the earth, it's always getting what it needs, almost always. Obviously there's whatever, but it's our earth is meant to replenish us. It is. And we've as a whole have been disconnected from that. And I also think of like, okay, the core of the earth, the core of the earth, the core of us, it's the same connection, right? How I connect with the core of my being is how I connect to the core of the earth. And the deeper my understanding of the core of my being, the deeper understanding I have energetically of the earth.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm a firm believer that like the earth is a manifestation of everyone's consciousness and their relation to it. Meaning like if there's a fire on the planet, there's fire within us somewhere, and we're just not tending to it. If there's drought, if like all these things, it's like they all represent something that's happening to us energetically. And the beautiful thing about being a human is we have the ability to choose and go inwards and send love to those areas that need love. And it's like a water slide, and we either stay at the mine and we keep it as a dam, or we open it up and let it flood through and connect down to the earth. But it's one of those things where, yeah, like, you talk to kids. Okay, this is the beautiful thing about this. Kids are so in love with the earth, in love with animals, nature, all of these things. And then all of a sudden it just goes away because that's, like,
No,
right?
yeah.
It's like all of a sudden, oh no, yeah, that's a kid thing to do. No, like, because the people who go through their healing journey, they have a much deeper and more beautiful connection to earth. It's all because to me, what I believe healing is just coming back to our divinity, is like our magical inner child would be the best way to describe it. And obviously in adult form, but the spirit of a child of like wonder and, oh, look at that. Look at the tree. Did you see that bird fly? Did you see like it's this sense of wonder. And that to me is like when I think of like ascension and all of these things, it's like I understand it like in terms of like rising, in terms of like consciousness and frequency, but to me it's just going deeper and deeper into the core of our being. And the deeper we go, obviously all these layers start to show up, and like it's like you remember those jawbreakers as a kid, like those
Yeah.
big balls, like nobody finished them, but they just had all these different layers of colors. That's what it is to me. And it's like, yes, the healing journey is ongoing, but I do believe there is an essence that you can get to. I'm not saying like everyone's Jesus Christ, but it's like you get to this essence where like, that's me. Like
Mhm.
that's me at my core, and again, obviously it keeps going, but there's beauty in that. There's hope in that. There's faith in that because it's always been there. And how it relates to the spine is like if you look at kids, they all have erect spines when kids are young, they all have erect spines. And they start to experience trauma, they start to mirror the patterns of their parents, their brains start to develop, and their spine starts to curl to match them. And then all of a sudden, they're in the programming of like what's happening around them. And it's the same thing of what we're talking about the conversations, the co-validation. It's like, well, if I want to be loved by my parents, if
Yeah.
I want to be loved by people at school, I have to be like they are. And that was my experience as a boy, because I was very sensitive. And that's not how a lot of boys are. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll be an athlete. I'll be, like I'll
Yeah.
whatever you guys want. Like, it just because it's scary to be in that space when everyone else around you doesn't believe in that or feel the same things that you do, to the same extent. Because I believe deep down we all do feel it, but whether we're connected to it or not, that's a different story. But there's that's the connection. Like to me, I'm always shown that the spine is a rainbow bridge, and rainbow to me being it's got every color in it, so everyone has a reason to cross it.
Mm.
Like it's like if my journey is blue, but there's blue woven in the spot in this bridge, I'm like, oh, it's safe to cross, right? So it's all the colors, it's all the energies, it's all the emotions, it's all the truths, and it's the full range. Because I don't, again, going back to what light is for me, I don't believe light is like being good all the time, being kind all the time. It's the true thing. It's like, where's your anger? Where do you express it? Is it in your body? Let's get it out. Are you sad? Beautiful. Take your time. Like it's
Yeah.
going to all these different places. And that's what brings us back to our essence. And the beautiful part about that process is you learn the story of your body, why you protected yourself, why you played it safe, why you were scared to do this, why, and then your body teaches you the wisdom that's underneath it, and that wisdom is universal, and that wisdom is what connects all of us. So it's I don't know how I got into talking about that. I don't even
Love
know.
it. No, no, it's beautiful. It's meant to be unscripted and channeled. So
Yeah. So
no, that's beautiful. And I love that connection you made with our original home, which is Mother Earth, right?
mhm,
It's Mother Earth herself. And I always say this too. I talk a lot about lineage, especially recently, because we're clearing out all the ancient wounds and so forth, so we can accelerate more and more in the timeline, right? But if you really think about it, if you truly think about it, right? Our roots, our entire lineage, our ancestral pattern, it's not Indian, Scottish, and Irish. No, it's
mhm,
humanity.
mhm,
Like it's Mother Earth.
mhm,
So people say go back to your roots and people want to go back to their home country. I'm like, no, you're
mhm,
already the home. You're already the home. And your hair are literally the roots
mhm,
because I see the spine, the lower back as like the tree, right? The spine. And then you sprout up on top and your hair is coming out and it's like the roots.
yeah,
So you take your roots everywhere you go because literally you're always home. Mother Earth is your ancestor. Mother
mhm,
Earth is your lineage. And that's who we are loving up. And yeah, we have our DNA and we have our avatar maker, people that help make up our genetics. We love them too, right? But if you really look at the core and the truth of it, we all came from her. She's
totally.
our root. She's literally our root.
Mhm,
And even in the body, right? Like if you look at our body too, the nervous system, if you were to crack open a tree, that looks just like a nervous system,
yep.
right? Kidney beans, kidney, like our food, a lot of things are actually just within us.
Mhm,
A lot of them. Our thyroid gland is literally a butterfly. So, like, free yourself. Like, that transformation comes from voice, from
mhm,
voicing yourself, speaking up, and so forth. So, there's a lot of, like you say, the reflections, right? A lot of it reflects that. And I constantly see people, well, I coach a lot of individuals that come to me because they feel lost and they need clarity. The easiest way to get clarity is number one, yes, get into your body, right? Get into your body's wisdom, feel your body, understand your body's needs, the consciousness, and so forth. But you can literally go to any water body or have a water bowl and just look into it.
mhm,
Look right into it and see your reflection through the water.
mhm.
Ask the question, and I promise you, the water will literally speak back to you.
Of
Because
course.
again, you are the water. Like the answer's already there. It's that our brain wants evidence the human brain wants to comprehend something, it wants to add a label. Because again, like you said, right, as adults, we have lost field of imagination, field of curiosity. We kind of lose that, right? We just have our labels ready for everything. You know, like when we feel a bit down, we're like, oh, I'm sad. Instead of going, I'm gonna go pick up my bike and go beat up my friends next door. You know,
Mhm.
like the shit we used to do as kids,
Totally, totally.
right?
Yep.
Like as a kid, when I felt low, I'd be like, red crayon. I would just start scribbling everywhere, right? Like, I don't know. It was just like a practice that we knew. But as adults, we're like, oh, I feel sad. Maybe I work too hard. I need to like treat myself now. Or
Mhm.
maybe I did this. We start judging it, like judging
Totally.
emotion instead of focusing on alchemizing it and actually channeling that energy and pushing it out to work for us. And
Mhm.
I did a podcast a couple of, I think, oh my gosh, no, months ago now, with my beautiful sister Catherine on how all feelings are manufactured
Mhm.
because we have original emotions. We do. We feel joy. We do feel grief. We feel anger. We do feel things, right? But look how many times we're driving by, we're chilling in our car, and the song says, I love you a little too much, or something, a lyrics gets repeated. All of a sudden, it's being imprinted, and all of a sudden, we start feeling like it. So that's a manufactured emotion now. We see a
Mhm.
billboard of Burger King and now all of a sudden we're hungry. It's a manufactured emotion. And that is why they're constantly fighting for our attention. Because the more we give our attention to them, the more they can manufacture feelings into us, the more we consume their world.
Yeah.
So that's why attention is so important too. It's a valuable resource, right? Because attention is something, again, like to your point, it's a command to the body. Your body will follow your attention and your intentions, right? Like I intentionally, like this blows people's mind, by the way, and I don't know why it's so shocking. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't watch anything on TV. I don't know what the heck is going on outside in the world sometimes. I just learned that US is having elections. I was like, what? I
Mhm.
like I have no I know it's kind of bad, but the thing is
Not bad. Everybody's got their own.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, I know, I just know if there's information that I need, it will just come to me.
Mhm.
Somebody will talk to, like, I had no idea US elections were happening. I had no idea Bridgerton or whatever has their third or fourth season. Like,
Yeah.
but people kept telling me. And I just went, oh, okay, cool. Like, you will hear it. Like, you eventually will hear it, but you don't need to be consumed by it. And
For
you don't
sure.
need to consume it, right? But the thing is that that's it. It's like we take our feelings sometimes very seriously instead of like asking the body if it's even ours to begin with.
Correct.
And we want to constantly label everything, label the experience, label, why, find evidence, explain to ourselves. And it just, you consume so much more energy
Mhm.
doing that versus just being like, oh, I'm gonna go pick up my bike and like just I don't know, go vandalize the neighborhood. Like I don't know, like just crazy stuff, right? Like whatever. But if you could do that, I highly like if you feel down, sure, reflect, integrate the emotion, see what's up. Is it yours? Is it not? I highly recommend uplifting yourself. Go for that walk, go for that run, ride your bike, talk to a friend, alchemize it into gold. Literally alchemize it because I'm telling you, we are not designed to be miserable.
No. Yeah. Yep.
It's just not part of the design. So if you
Mhm.
are feeling miserable, something you've allowed things in that are not yours. There is a little bit of an interference happening there.
Mhm.
So you want to alchemize that and basically give the middle finger to these people that are sending these miserable frequencies and grabbing your attention and manufacturing feelings to you about stuff because the biggest thing for me has been recently is that a lot of women actually are we okay? Are we glitching?
You're glitching, but you're good. Keep going. You're good. You just came back on. You're good.
Yes, perfect. A lot of not just women actually, a lot of people don't care for romantic relationships.
Mhm.
That has been coming forward a lot. People are recognizing that they just want to be. And if someone comes along, woo, it's a win. If they don't, I'm perfect.
Mhm.
That's literally the vibe I've been getting from the collective. I've been seeing it so much. I know like in 2023 early, we started seeing a lot of relationships shifting
Mhm.
collectively as well. And they still continue to, but I'm seeing more and more and more people just feeling whole with themselves and not needing a extended person to make them feel good,
I agree.
which I think is a major win,
Mhm.
right? 'Cause it's beautiful to be in love. Love is love. It's beautiful, right? If you find the person, fantastic, live your
Mhm.
life with them, have a great time. But I don't think it should ever be a need.
Yep, I agree.
Yes.
There, there was one thing I wanted to add on to what you said earlier, and then I want to dive into this. But it was when you were talking about miserable people, and something that I know to be true is there are people who like their whole life is I'm just going to be happy, I'm just going to be happy, but their body is miserable, and it's such an interesting take for me. It's such an interesting thing to observe because it's like you can say like I'm joyful, I'm this, I'm that, but your body is screaming and you're just not listening. Not you, you know what I'm saying? But that is something to note because it's like it's bringing the joy that you want to have and then bringing that essence into the body so that the body remembers that joy, because that's embodiment. You don't even need to say that you're happy or your body literally says it for you, you know? And that's what I love about the body because it won't lie. Like, when someone comes up and they're like, this is a safe space, this is a really safe space, and you're like, something doesn't feel safe about
Right.
this because of how the body is communicating to me right now. Like, I'm at a point where I don't even tell people, like, even with like clients, I'm like, it's safe here, you can do. It's like, no, you could feel it or not. I'm not going to convince you, I'm not going to appease the mind to go, you can let go now. Like, if you don't feel that, I have work to do, you know? And then the relationship stuff, you're spot on, but I love this because, people are upset about it because it's like, well, we're all the good men, we're all the good women. We're like, but what's beautiful is, and I think you said something like this last week where it's like everyone's kind of relocating, even relationship wise. It's like there are big shifts happening, people are moving, but beyond that, it's not meant to be the way that it has been, where it's like find someone, get married, have the kids, because that's from the mind. But if it's like, hey, my body feels good now, and there's someone else where I also feel good in their presence, and we want to co-create together, that's like that to me is like it feels natural. It's like, the dance, I don't know what it's called, but when like there's all these people going in a circle and they have their arms out and then they link up with someone and then they rotate and then they
Oh,
link up with
yes.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that right now, right? It's like, what am I learning from this person? What am I learning? Oh, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where like this one feels really good. And I'm gonna like, you know what? I can still feel the essence that I've felt by myself with this person. It's like great, matched. But love from the mind is a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Partnership from the mind is a disaster. And I am not one to speak on like, I'm not a relationship coach. I'm none of that. I got to a point in the past 4 years where I was growing so quickly, like, and changing so quickly that I couldn't date if the person didn't want to like grow as well, like in the body, because I was just like, oh my God, like I'm feeling that, like
Yeah.
it's so interesting. But there's coming back to what we were talking about earlier is the home, like the essence of home. If you don't know what home feels like in your body, how will you know who to create home with? And I think that's, to me, that's it's really important because like, you watch the movies as a kid, it's like I gotta find my person. I've got to, you watch. So I'm the opposite of you. I watch Netflix. I watch all the shows. I feel like it's like studying human behavior. Like
I love it.
I love it all. But one thing I observe is like the rush to find someone, the rush to meet the person, the rush to get married, the rush, and everything's like find my person. I'm ready for the. It's like your body will tell you when it's time. You don't have to convince yourself. And Yeah, just had to say all that. Thank you for
Yeah,
listening.
no, I love it. I loved it because the thing is, like you mentioned, there is because I see like energetically everything first, right? And then I add the logic later, right? Like whatever, logic, But
Yeah, definitely.
there is a major relocation happening with a lot of I know the word twin flame has a lot of distortion around it, and it's not being proposed or sold in the correct manner, but there are twin flames.
Mhm.
We do have multiple soulmates. We have them within our parents, our friends, our neighbors, our lovers, or we do. We have twin flames and we have soulmates. So there's just been a major relocation and redistribution of light
Yeah.
because planet Earth's grids are being reactivated to its original way. And who is here to anchor the light in the middle from heaven to earth? It's literally the human body.
Mhm.
Like we're the portals. We're literally the portals anchoring light here. So
Mhm.
if you are someone that's consciously aware and you're ready to go on your mission, you are being relocated now. You are being relocated, and yes, you will find your soulmate. And it may look like a completely different contract than, again, what we have been seeing in movies and reading in books and fantasy and so forth,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It may just be for the mission.
Mhm.
That's it. It just me like you may need to sit somewhere and meditate for like 2 hours together and anchor that grid because, again, creation. Ooh, this topic gets under my skin. People are
Mhm.
like, oh, this is divine energy, divine feminine energy. This is divine masculine energy. And I'm like, who told you?
Yes,
Just
yeah,
you.
yeah, I'm, yep, I'm with you.
Because we need both for co-creation. And that is why we're linking up and being relocated and meeting our other counterparts and halves.
Mhm.
And I have a colleague who actually channels Mother Earth, Mother Maya, and she talks a lot about this. Meeting your counterparts, anchoring light, doing the work and the mission and so forth, but all from the heart without attachment in unconditional love.
Mhm.
Not being like, oh, like I like you and I think you're hot, so be my boyfriend now. Like,
Mhm.
no, it's literally for the mission, it's for the
It's a
lesson.
dance. It's a
Yeah, like
dance.
dance,
Yeah,
literally, right?
yeah.
All of that. But this topic gets really under my skin, the divine feminine, divine masculine energy, because everyone has both.
Yeah, of course. I'm with you.
Everyone has both. And I keep, I see all these coaches online that are like, oh, if you want to be more feminine, do this, do that. I'm like, no, if you want to be more of you, do
Mhm.
you.
Mhm. Which
Because
is the balance of both.
yes, because the thing is, I'm very tapped into my divine masculine and divine feminine,
Mhm.
right? I have the perfect balance, I would say. It's not like I check with a thermometer, but I'm pretty sure I'm balanced.
Mhm.
So the thing is, when they're like, oh, divine feminine, receiving, quiet, soft, I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no, no. Like everything on that list, I don't check any box. I don't, I'm like, but I'm very feminine too. But am
Mhm.
I soft? Am I just gonna giggle? Like, no. Am I
Mhm.
just gonna play mind manipulation games with you to get your attention? No.
Mhm.
But that is what they're teaching you. And there's this whole thing about dark feminine energy, how to get a man to obsess with you, blah, blah, blah. How to get a man obsessed with you is by you being you,
Mhm. Yeah, but
right?
also, yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
it's like it's a big topic. Like, and the thing is this, why aren't you obsessed with yourself?
Mhm.
Right? Like, why do you again need to go outside from your home to find validation, confirmation, love, whatever you're seeking, right? You can literally have it within all the time, right? And that's how we manifest reality when we get super obsessed with our thoughts and we materialize them. So imagine if we use that dark feminine energy and internalized it and pushed it out.
Mhm.
Right? And it's not about needing, not needing, but it's just that confusion and that misinformation really gets under my skin. It really does because men also need to rest and receive. They're not
Mhm.
just here to work. They're not just here to just provide for you. They're not an ATM machine, literally. Like it really gets under my like skin when men are just being tossed around like, oh, you're meant to provide.
Mhm.
Go be the provider, or you're this is a masculine job, so you have to like no, no. We everyone has both energies and we can at our will tap in and out as we desire. So right now I'm masculine because I'm actually working. I'm at a podcast. I'm channeling Mother Agua, sure, but I'm doing like I'm in my creation zone as well. So I'm also in my divine feminine.
Mhm.
So I am both right now. I am a full, complete, whole being here right now. And I'm receiving information from you and I'm giving. So I'm playing both parts. And now who gets obsessed with me? That's none of my problem now.
Mhm. Yeah, you have like fans out there who are like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm obsessed with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like that whole thing, because the reality is when physically female body connects with a male body, right? Or whatever body you like, right? You are creating energy. And it's not just to create a baby to reproduce, which yes, you can.
Mhm.
It's creating energy for life force within you and each other. And you're sharing that, exchanging that, which is going to get anchored in the collective. So
Yeah,
you're always co-creating. So
correct.
every partnership you're in should feel like a divine harmony that you can co-create experiences with and live in ease and joy and be in celebration with. Oh my God, I'm heated about this topic. Thank you.
You know what's so funny is when you kept saying under my skin, I was like in your fascia. I'm like thinking of myself, I'm like, is it the layer underneath? Is it the fascia?
It's
But
the
no,
best.
I'm right there with you. And there's this beautiful thing that happens, and I love hearing this because I personally have been on a very feminine journey my past 3.5 years, to a point where like every time I tried to do, my body was like, no, just shut down. You will be provided for. And like there have been, I can't tell you how many months where like my rent has been paid for. Like someone's like, here, stay here, do this. Like, and I'm just like, there's a part of my ego that's like, no, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep receiving like this. I gotta just like go provide for myself. And it's like, no, you need to learn how to receive. And
Mm,
I'm still learning. I'm not, I'm still learning, but there's this, it's been really interesting because had a very hyper masculine life. Like I was a professional football coach, college football coach. I did, like worked really hard, like, worked at Lululemon, all these things. Like it just kept pushing, pushing until my body was like, no, like surrender. And in this time, I've really been learning the balance of like, okay, I look at masculine and feminine as like these two poles that go through us. And the balance for me is like, am I activating both at the same time, like you said, right? Or am I just like leaning to one side? And your spine will tell you, right? Like I'll know, like if I'm just like letting go and not being an active participant, my spine will literally take me here. And if I'm doing too much, my spine will take me here. Like it's like I want to be right in the middle. Um, and it's interesting though, for me, even this is what I'm working through right now, is going like, yeah, but does it look like I'm not doing anything? Does it look like and like how does it look? And like am I providing? Am I providing for myself? Am I providing for the people around me? Like the woman I'm gonna meet, is she gonna think that I'm like there's this whole story that I'm still unraveling. It's like twisting off of my head. But my body is like, let go. Like we're gonna balance this out. And I'm learning how to weave that masculine energy back in with what I've learned through here and what I've come back to through here. So it's really nice to hear you say that because it's not the norm. Like I'll talk to a lot of guys where I'm like, yeah, this is what I do. They're like, sorry, what? You you haven't had a job in 4 years? Like, it's like this huge thing. But my body, everything in my body is like, no, not yet, not yet, not yet. So now I just do like healings one-on-one, like, I do some group stuff here and there, but it's like the balance. I'm still trying to find that balance.
yeah. And I honestly think that even though you've had a very feminine, receiving, restful energy, I still see a very divine masculine in you. Because, yeah, literally, because the thing is, yeah, you're receiving, you're resting, you've downloaded and created so much on the planet. That is doing, you're initiating things. And in order to initiate and launch, Well, that's pretty masculine energy,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, you may launch for an hour and then rest for 3 hours, maybe, and then get back and do it. Like, that's actually how I plan my day. That's a hot tip of here. But like I actually see you very divine masculine. I do
Thank
because
you.
you've aligned actions, you've initiated things, you're in a flow, but you're not that wounded masculine that's in a hustle bustle rush environment
Mhm.
and is, in a competition, with their ego pretty much. Right? Like it's a different look on the divine masculine energy, I would say.
Totally. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's great.
It just rerouted me back to you, and I was like, okay, sure. But yes, going back to the divine masculine and feminine energies too, it like in the body as well, right? The body literally just wants you to be you. It's not asking you to push and tug. And me as well, I was very masculine. I was very masculine because I was raised by immigrant parents that hustled and bustled and worked their way into things. And I just thought life was hard. You had to work very hard. You had to earn money. You had to earn respect. Like you have to, there's like a rat race. You got to race. You got to race. I had that whole mindset, right? Um, and then I felt really comfortable with my partner. And then I became very feminine. Pandemic came, didn't like that nonsense, but it blessed us with remote jobs. I was able to stay home and work my like corporate job then back in 2020. And I became more and more feminine because I was more in my like home, in my little, womb space here. And I just became more on receiving, more on receiving. However, now I literally decided that my mornings are masculine and my evenings are feminine.
Interesting.
And they can change as the day flows. I'm flexible, I'm not fixated on it. But when I wake up in the morning, soon as I wake up, I honor my body. I'll do stretches, I'll do movement, I'll go for a walk, I'll get my sun coats, I'll run around bare feet, all that stuff on the grass. I literally run like a kid on the grass. Like I'll do like a bunch of circles. My neighbors are super creeped out.
Mhm.
I think like something is wrong with me. Literally, they won't say hi to me anymore. I'm actually serious. Like
Mhm.
they think something is up with me.
I've been there. Don't worry. It's all
Yeah,
good.
that's fine. Um, so I'll do all that. Like I'll just get super active, my body boom, boom, boom. And I'll literally write all my copy. I'll do all my emails. I'll do everything in the morning, boom, boom, boom. I'll have that done. And then I'll have lunch and take a nap. I'll have lunch, take a nap, or I'll just have a tea, I'll sip, I'll relax, and I'll see you again around 3:34 if I'm feeling initiated, fired again, which usually I am. So I'll work 2 more hours. I'll invest, I'll check up on emails again, do more bit of my job and whatever I need to do. And then at 5 p.m. or 5:30ish, done.
Mm.
It's done for me. It's literally done. Like today, we had to do this podcast and it's evening here for me.
Mhm.
So I worked literally 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. Then I took a 2 hour break. Then I did 2 to 4. And then boom, I've been on a break. And now I just jumped on this podcast. But I literally balance my day out like that. I don't continuously work or continuously rest.
Yeah. Interesting. I love that balance.
Yeah, if it helps out anybody there, because I
Mhm.
I hear it so much. Like I hear it so much. Like I want to be more feminine. How do I be more feminine? How do I receive more? And I'm just like, lay on your bed, take a deep breath.
Mhm.
You're
It's true.
receiving.
It's
You
true.
are,
Yep.
it's literally built in our nature to be goddesses in our temples.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen a goddess like run to the door to go open it? Fuck no.
Yep.
Stop running.
Mhm.
Literally, that's the images I have in my head. I'm like, do goddesses run to the door and open it and rush things? And do they eat in a hurt? No, they don't.
Yeah.
That's it. Just be the goddess you are. And if you like eating fast, fuck it, eat fast then.
Mhm.
Just be the goddess you are. That's it. You're feminine. Period.
Mhm. This is great.
Are you feeling complete?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I felt the consciousness go like this.
Mhm.
Okay, well, this has been great. I will have all of Vince's websites, all links to his socials linked below in the description box if you want to find him and get a beautiful spinal energetics or any kind of symbols, intuitive art created for yourself. You absolutely can take a look down there. And thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all so much. Have a very, very blessed day. And like always, like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you resonated with.